Welcome to Awakenings. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, editor of naturalnews.com, and in each of these Awakenings episodes, you'll learn some powerful solutions in under 10 minutes. And today's episode, we're talking about how to live GMO-free. Now, why would you want to live GMO-free? You've probably heard a lot about GMOs. Many of you are aware of the dangers of GMOs. In my opinion, GMOs are poison. Not just poison for your body, but poison for the environment. They create the risk of genetic pollution, the risk of ecocide or an ecological collapse due to runaway genetic pollution and unintended consequences. Now, the GMO pushers run well-financed campaigns to try to intimidate and suppress and oppress all the scientists and activists who tell the truth about GMOs. Yes, the so-called Monsanto Mafia is real. It really does exist. And they do really threaten people and spread slanderous, defamatory lies about scientists. That's how they got the Seralini study retracted. And they've tried to infect the mainstream media with their lies and disinfo, and they've funneled millions of dollars into blocking GMO labeling campaigns so that you don't know you're eating GMOs, and so that consumers can't be empowered with the ability to make choices of what they wish to buy at the grocery store. And of course, the GMA, the Grocery Manufacturers of America, has been complicit in that, violating laws in Washington state to secretly funnel biotech money into a covert campaign to defeat GMO labeling so that people just don't know that they're buying GMOs. It's quite insidious. But the biotech industry knows it's losing the war. It's only a matter of time before GMO labeling gets approved somewhere at a state level, or even maybe the entire U.S. government will at one point pass a law to require GMO labeling of foods. But until that happens, you may not know that you're eating GMOs, so that's what this is all about. Step 1, never eat corn unless it's certified organic. Most of the corn products sold in the U.S., including corn derivatives, such as corn starch, high fructose corn syrup, and even, believe it or not, conventional ascorbic acid, which is derived from corn most of the time, these are all from GMOs, and as such, they may all be poisonous, toxic to mammalian biology. The good news is, and hopefully you're already aware of this, USDA organic products are not allowed to contain high levels of GMOs. They can still have a small trace contaminant level of GMOs, but it's a very small number, under 1%. But if you search for USDA certified organic, you can be sure that you're not getting high levels of GMOs in the food. So if you do eat corn products, make sure you look for certified organic corn products. Now, the next food to watch out for is, of course, soy. Most of the soy that's sold that's not organic is genetically modified. GMO soy. Very toxic stuff, in my view. I wouldn't touch it, because of course I want to be healthy. So avoid GMO soy by, again, buying organic soy. Or the other thing you can do in both of these cases with corn or soy is to look for non-GMO, Project Verified is one label, or certification that the product is non-GMO. And it's not good enough for a company to just claim to be non-GMO. There are companies out there that claim that on their labels, and some of them are probably honest, but some of them maybe aren't. So there does need to be some kind of independent third-party validation of such a claim. That's why I like that logo, non-GMO Project Verified, because that's, of course, laboratory verified to be non-GMO. Now, another big GMO crop is cotton, and this is where things get very difficult for most consumers. A lot of people, hey, they don't want to eat GMO corn, they don't want to eat GMO soy, so they buy organic. But what about when you're buying a pair of blue jeans? Most of the blue jeans that are sold in America today are made from genetically modified cotton. And so you got to buy organic clothing, which is really hard to find. I mean, very difficult, especially in all the different sizes that American consumers need. So you really have to go out of your way to try to live without genetically modified clothing or food or anything around you that's GMO. And with clothing, it's especially difficult. In fact, trying to live a year without Monsanto around you in one form or another is exceedingly difficult. I think someone made a movie about that, in fact, trying to live a year without Monsanto. Very tricky to do. So you have to be diligent about it. Now, one of the best ways to accomplish this, in terms of food, of course, is to grow your own food. I've always been a strong proponent of home gardening, and even a proponent of technologies such as aquaponics, where you grow food and fish at the same time. You can even grow medicinal herbs in the same setup. It's fantastic. It's a great system. And you get clean protein from the fish without all the heavy metals. If you eat fish, you should be concerned about heavy metals in fish. But you also get clean plants. You can grow fruits and vegetables, culinary herbs, and even medicinal herbs. And they're going to be super, super clean for lots of reasons, because the inputs are minimized. You're not using a lot of water in that system, so you're not always inputting water into the system. And if you have clean fish food that's low in heavy metals, and organic, essentially, fish food, then that's what's feeding your plants, and you're going to have organic plants. But of course, you don't need to have them certified organic. If you grow them yourself, you know what goes into them. And that's the cleanest, most fresh food that you can possibly eat. You can even do it on a small scale just with sprouting. You could buy a countertop sprouter, which are very affordable, and you could sprout seeds, and you could grow some sprouts each day and just add those to your diet. I blend them into smoothies. I know it sounds a little strange, but they're great in chocolate avocado smoothies. So I actually drink some sprouts every morning. But what do you do in those scenarios where you don't control the food that well? And what I'm talking about mostly here is eating at restaurants. This is really tricky. In fact, most restaurant food has some GMOs in it. Even things like salad dressing, they can be sweetened with corn syrup that comes from GMO corn. So if you go out to eat, you have to be very, very choosy about the restaurants you visit. You should assume correctly that almost anything you get from a regular restaurant that's corn or soy based is going to be genetically modified. So you either have to go to organic restaurants, which are relatively few of those around and kind of hard to find and expensive, or you have to avoid the things that might be genetically modified, such as corn, soy, cottonseed oil, and maybe some other GMO crops that might be coming online here soon, unfortunately, for all of us. Fortunately, right now, there's no such thing as genetically modified lettuce, so you can have a salad quite safely if you can trust the dressing. There's also not genetically modified wheat that has been commercialized, so you can trust that any bread that you might eat in a restaurant or at a deli, the bread is not genetically modified, not yet. They're working on that, but it's not out in the marketplace at this time. Now, the last point in all of this is to beware of the label claim of all natural. Lots of companies like to say, oh, our snack chips are all natural. Our meat is all natural. Our corn flakes are all natural. Well, it turns out that all natural means nothing. It's not regulated. It literally has no definition that means anything in the food industry. A lot of people are confused thinking that all natural means non-GMO. It doesn't. And GMOs are not natural. In fact, many companies have lost major class action lawsuits over using genetically modified ingredients and then calling their products all natural. They've lost the lawsuits because the courts have confirmed that GMOs are not natural. They're genetically engineered. That's artificial, not natural. So follow all of these bits of advice. Avoid GMOs. You will help protect your health, and you'll also help protect the planet from the scourge of companies like Monsanto and DuPont that are engaged in massive genetic pollution that puts all life on our planet at risk. Thanks for listening. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, For naturalnews.com, thanks for listening to this episode of Awakenings.